Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Have you ever thought about what would happen if your normal everyday life just totally flipped upside down?
Yeah.
Like 1 minute you're crunching numbers, maybe dealing with spreadsheets, and the next you're like dodging bullets and uncovering like huge conspiracies.
Yeah,
It sounds crazy, right?
totally.
But that's the kind of wild ride we're going to be taking today.
Well, it's interesting you say that because we got a really cool request from a listener
Oh,
who wanted us to do a deep dive into this excerpt from a novel
okay.
called Protecting Jess
Protecting Jess.
by Karna Small Bodman.
Interesting.
And this is no fluffy beach read.
Uh-huh.
This throws you right into the world of like international intrigue and that kind of polished world of diplomacy.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's like a really dangerous underworld
Oh, I like it already.
hidden just beneath the surface.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So we're talking like spies and secret agents?
You got it.
Ooh, okay.
We're talking about a White House economist who suddenly finds herself caught up in the gritty world of Brazilian drug cartels.
Oh, wow.
And then there's this seemingly ordinary State Department protocol officer who's got this whole secret life going on.
Ooh, double lives.
Exactly.
I love it.
And the backdrop for all of this, we're talking the OAS conference in Brasilia.
OAS.
Yeah,
Okay, so for those who don't know, the OAS is the Organization of American States.
That's right.
It's this big gathering of leaders from all over the Americas.
Yep.
They deal with some really complex political and economic issues.
Exactly. And then, of course, you've got the vibrant but sometimes kind of risky streets of Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, yeah, Rio.
So you've got this mix of high-level diplomacy and then this gritty underworld.
Ooh, it's like a powder keg waiting to explode.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we go any further, if you're loving this deep dive, and I know you are, hit that like button and subscribe.
Yeah, come on.
We want more people to join us on these wild adventures.
Absolutely.
And speaking of adventures, we've put a link to the book on Amazon down in the description below.
You got to check this out.
So if you want to really dive deep into this world,
Yeah.
but don't worry, we're not going to spoil the whole thing for you.
No spoilers.
Just going to unpack some of the cool stuff we found in the material our listener sent us.
It's fascinating stuff.
So let's start with our main character, Jessica Tanner.
Okay.
She's the deputy director of the President's Council of Economic Advisors.
So basically a key player in shaping the country's economic direction.
Exactly. We first meet Jessica in the very familiar setting of the White House.
Right.
She's surrounded by, economic briefings and talking points and all that.
The world of fiscal policy and analysis.
Right. But there's a twist. Her boss, Hal, is out sick with pneumonia.
Oh, no.
So guess who gets to go to the OAS conference in Brasilia in his place?
Jessica.
Jessica. It's like being thrown into the deep end.
It really is. And I think what's interesting here is that the story doesn't just focus on her professional life. It also gives us these glimpses into her personal life, too.
Okay.
Like we hear about her recent breakup with Ken.
Oh, broken heart on top of everything else.
Exactly.
That's going to be tough.
And it suggests this, longing for something more than just, her predictable routine.
Yeah, she's definitely ready for some excitement.
And she's about to get a whole lot more than she bargained for.
She doesn't know that yet. Meanwhile, across town at the State Department, we meet Bill Black.
Ah, Bill Black.
On the surface, he's your typical protocol officer,
Right.
handling all those nitty-gritty details of state visits.
Yeah, arranging seating charts, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Well, yeah. And probably, making sure the napkins are folded just right.
Absolutely.
Making sure the ambassadors don't, trip over the red carpet.
Oh, you got to avoid those diplomatic incidents. Right?
Exactly. But there's a twist, right?
Oh, yeah, a big one.
Because Bill's got this whole other side to him.
Right from the start, the story hints at this much deeper involvement. Remember that clandestine meeting at the boat center?
Oh, yeah?
The one about drug enforcement in South America?
Uh-huh.
That's not exactly typical protocol officer stuff.
Definitely not.
And we learned that this meeting was coordinated with drug enforcement.
Okay.
Probably the DEA.
The Drug Enforcement Administration, the
Right.
guys who deal with drug smuggling and all that.
Yep. And a contact from his CIA team.
Whoa, hold on. CIA.
Yeah. The Central Intelligence Agency.
Okay, so we're not talking about simple traffic violations here.
Right, no.
This is serious espionage stuff.
Exactly.
So Bill is like a secret agent.
That's what it's looking like.
Wow. So he's got this public face as this meticulous protocol officer.
But underneath it all, he's involved in these covert operations.
Oh, this is so cool.
It really makes you wonder what other secrets he's hiding.
And then comes the part where Jessica and Bill get paired up for this trip to Brasilia.
Talk about an unlikely duo.
I know, right?
You've got the economist focused on trade deals, and then this secret agent disguised as a protocol officer.
Yeah, and Jessica's initial reaction to Bill is priceless.
Oh, yeah, she totally underestimates him.
She basically sees him as her keeper or babysitter.
Right, like he's just there to make sure she doesn't cause any diplomatic faux pas.
Yeah, exactly. Little does she know what Bill is really capable of.
If only she knew.
Now, before they even set foot in Brazil, there's this whole other storyline brewing.
Oh, yeah, the dangerous world of Pazio.
Right, Pazio, this Brazilian drug kingpin.
The story really emphasizes his close relationship with his brother.
Oh, so there's a personal element to this.
Exactly. It's not just about the drugs and the money, it's about family loyalty.
Okay, but how does this tie in with Bill?
Well, remember that DEA operation Bill was involved in?
Uh-huh.
The one that targeted that truck?
Yeah.
Well, that operation resulted in the death of Pazio's brother.
Oh, no. So that's why Pazio's men were shouting at Bill saying things like, "You killed him. We won't forget. You're a dead man."
Exactly. It's a threat that hangs over Bill throughout the entire story.
Wow. So Bill is walking around with this huge target on his back.
Yeah.
And Jessica has no idea. It's like this ticking time bomb just waiting to go off.
And the fact that Bill was actively involved in that operation aiming in the truck shows us that he's not just some desk jockey.
Absolutely.
He's out there in the field putting his life on the line.
And his coordination with the DEA and his CIA contact really solidifies this image of him as this covert operative.
So we've got Jessica, this economist, thrust into this high-stakes diplomatic event.
Right.
And we've got Bill, this secret agent, hiding in plain sight.
And then you've got Pazio, this ruthless drug lord seeking revenge.
Just like all these different worlds are colliding.
Exactly.
Okay, so Jessica and Bill arrive in Brasilia for the OAS conference.
Right.
And it's clear from their first interactions that Jessica has completely misjudged Bill.
Well, she's got them all wrong.
She's focused on her work and kind of annoyed at having to deal with what she sees as a glorified babysitter. Yeah. Her attitude towards him is definitely a bit condescending.
Right. Like when she basically dismisses his attempts to help her or even just talk to her.
But Bill, being the ever-so-polite protocol officer, keeps trying.
Oh, yeah. I love that part where he brings up John Quincy Adams' views on protocol.
Right, and how those rules were shaped by the French and British courts.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to find some common ground.
Yeah, even if it's through this, like, super specific and kind of dry topic of diplomatic etiquette.
And then he even mentions how senators are seated at state dinners based on their state's admission to the Union.
Like, who knows that kind of stuff?
Right. It's like Bill is this walking encyclopedia of protocol.
Exactly. He's presenting this image of himself as this meticulous, maybe even a little boring protocol officer.
But then, boom, everything changes at the Brasilia Mall.
That scene comes out of nowhere.
Right. It's like they're just strolling through the mall.
Yeah.
And suddenly these purse snatchers target this woman.
And Bill just snaps into action.
It's amazing. He doesn't even hesitate. He just jumps in to help.
And it's not just his actions. It's the way he handles the situation.
Oh, yeah. He even speaks Portuguese.
He shouts things like, "Let her go, you pushers." And "Not in your life, friend."
And he even calls for security in Portuguese.
This is not the Bill that Jessica thought she knew.
Right. This is a whole new side of him.
He's capable, confident, and clearly comfortable in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, it's like a switch flips and he becomes this like action hero.
It really challenges Jessica's perception of him.
It makes you wonder what else she's wrong about.
It's like that saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. You never know what someone is truly capable of until you see them in action.
Right. And this mall incident, it's just the beginning of Jessica's realization that Bill is much more than meets the eye.
Now fast forward to the weekend. Jessica decides to take a little trip to Rio de Janeiro.
A little getaway to spice things up a bit.
Exactly. She wants to experience something exciting, something beyond spreadsheets and economic forecasts.
And guess who also happens to be in Rio?
Bill.
Bill. Supposedly for embassy events.
Of course. Of course. But it's a little too coincidental, don't you think?
Maybe,
Oh.
maybe not. But it definitely gives them a chance to connect on a deeper level.
Yeah, that dinner scene in Rio is really interesting.
They're both more relaxed. They're sharing stories.
Right. And they even discovered that they have similar tastes in books.
Yeah. They both love mysteries and thrillers.
So there's definitely a spark between them.
And Bill even acts as her translator. It's like he's trying to impress her.
It's like a romantic getaway with a side of danger.
But speaking of danger,
Oh, yeah.
Pazio hasn't forgotten about Bill.
Uh-oh.
He's got his men watching Bill in Rio.
So he knows Bill's there.
And when they confirm that it's the same guy who killed his brother,
Oh, no.
Pazio decides to make his move.
This is not good.
Bill is now a marked man.
And poor Jessica, she's caught in the crossfire without even knowing it.
It's a recipe for disaster.
And disaster strikes.
The kidnapping scene is brutal.
Yeah.
Jessica is just walking down the street,
Yeah.
and suddenly she's grabbed and thrown into a car.
Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
She's terrified. She's confused.
Yeah.
She has no idea what's happening.
It's every traveler's worst nightmare.
Exactly. It really highlights how vulnerable you can be in a foreign country.
So what happens next?
Well, she's taken to this drug lab.
A drug lab.
Yeah. And even though she's scared out of her mind, Jessica's sharp mind doesn't stop working.
Okay.
She's observing everything.
Yeah.
The equipment, the people, the way they talk.
Yeah.
And she quickly realizes that she's been kidnapped by drug dealers.
That's going to be a terrifying realization.
It is.
Yeah.
But it also shows how resourceful she is.
Right. Even in a crisis, she's trying to figure things out.
And that resourcefulness saves her life.
Oh, yeah, the nail gun scene.
That's intense.
Talk about thinking on your feet.
I know, right?
She uses this ordinary tool
Yeah, nail gun.
to take down her captors.
It's amazing. She manages to escape from the lab.
Yeah.
And then this teenage girl, Christina, helps her get back to the Copacabana Palace.
Wow. It's a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there are still good people out there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so while all this is going on, what's Bill up to?
Well, we finally start to get a clearer picture of what Bill's really all about.
Yeah.
Those secure phone calls he makes.
Right.
And the way Chet talks about Bill's escapades.
Mm-hmm.
It all points to Bill being involved in something much bigger than just protocol.
So his job at the State Department is just to cover.
It's looking that way.
I knew it. He's a secret agent.
And then comes the bombshell. Bill receives a photo of Jessica being held captive,
Oh, no.
along with a ransom demand from Pazio.
So Pazio knows about Bill's connection to Jessica.
And he's using her to get his revenge.
That's cold.
The message is chilling. A year ago, we said you were a dead man. Better you than her.
Wow. Pazio's serious about this.
He wants Bill to suffer.
But Bill, he's not going to just stand by and let Jessica get hurt.
No way. He's determined to rescue her.
But it's not going to be easy.
No, Chet tries to warn him about the potential consequences.
Right. If Bill goes rogue, it could cause a huge international incident.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Jessica tries to report her kidnapping to the American embassy in Brasilia.
But they don't believe her at first.
Seriously, they think she's making it up.
It highlights the bureaucracy and the disconnect between those in power and the reality on the ground.
It's like they're living in a different world.
In a way, they are.
Okay, so the story culminates in this big, fancy banquet at the Alvarado Palace.
It's the final event of the OAS conference.
Right. All the bigwigs are there. President Mendez, Vice President Sarah.
The whole diplomatic elite.
It's like a scene from a movie.
And then President Mendez makes this announcement about a major drug ring being broken up.
So they caught Pazio.
Not yet. But they're closing in.
Okay, but things are about to take a dark turn.
Oh, yeah. Head of nowhere, Eduardo Rebello.
Where's-
The vice president's security chief
Okay.
pulls out a gun and points it at President Mendez.
What? No way.
It's chaos. Everyone's screaming and diving for cover.
It's an assassination attempt.
Exactly.
But Bill, he's not going to let that happen.
No, he jumps into action and takes down Rebello.
Wow. Bill really is a hero.
He's got skills.
Okay, so what happens after the dust settles?
Well, the investigation reveals that Vice President Sarah was the mastermind behind the whole thing.
He wanted to be president that badly.
Apparently so.
And he paid Rebello, who was terminally ill,
Right.
to carry out the attack.
It's a chilling reminder that power corrupts.
Okay, so what about Pazio?
Well, he's eventually captured,
Good.
and his drug ring is dismantled.
Justice is served.
And what about Bill and Jessica?
They finally get their happy ending.
It seems so.
I'm glad. They've been through a lot.
They have. And their reunion is really sweet.
Yeah.
It's clear that they've developed a strong bond.
Yeah. And finally, Bill's true job is revealed.
Well, it's not explicitly stated,
Uh-huh.
but it's heavily implied that he works for the CIA.
Yeah.
He's been undercover this whole time.
Which explains a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Like why he was so evasive and why he was involved in that DEA operation.
Yeah. It all makes sense now.
And there's this little detail about Jessica offering to help Estelle.
Secretary Leventhal's assistant.
Right.
Yeah.
Find a new job.
Oh, that's nice of her.
It's a reminder that even amidst all the chaos and danger, there's still room for kindness and compassion.
And in the end, Jessica isn't the same person who arrived in Brazil.
No, she's been transformed by her experience.
Right.
She faced incredible danger. She showed amazing courage and resourcefulness.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the hidden potential we all have inside us.
Exactly. You never know how you'll react in a crisis until you're actually in one.
So to sum it all up for our listener,
Yeah.
Protecting Jess is a story about the interconnectedness of seemingly separate worlds.
Right.
Economics, diplomacy, and international crime.
And it's about the unexpected strength that we can find within ourselves when faced with extraordinary challenges.
It really makes you wonder how many people around us are leading these secret lives.
Yeah.
And what hidden capabilities we might have that we haven't discovered yet.
It's a fascinating thought.
Thanks for sending us this excerpt.
Yeah, it was a wild ride.
It was a blast to deep dive into it.
Absolutely.
What was your favorite moment from the story? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.
Spread the word.
Until next time.